So, imagine sitting across from a man who tells you, let's just go with the flow. No plan, no vision, just vibes. You feel it, don't you? That quiet tension in your chest. That tiny voice inside asking, is this what I deserve? It's not loud, it's not angry, but it's there, and it's trying to save you. Now let me be clear, this isn't about hating men. This is about loving yourself enough to stop entertaining confusion. Because some men will enter your life to grow with you. But others, they come as distractions dressed in potential. They don't bring peace, they bring patterns. And sis, you weren't born to repeat the same lesson over and over. You were born to learn it once and rise.
Picture this. You're a house under construction. You've got foundation, you've got dreams, you've got blueprints for something beautiful. But if a man walks in with no tools, no skills, no plan, just vibes, are you really going to hand him the keys? Or are you finally going to say, you don't even know how to build, baby?
Napoleon Hill said it simply, you don't get what you want, you get what you are. So if you're ready to be treated with clarity, with commitment, with care, you've got to stop accepting chaos. A woman who values herself is not hard to love, she's just hard to manipulate, and that's what makes her unforgettable. So before we get into these 7 types of men to avoid, do this. Press the like button, hit subscribe, and drop this fun little affirmation in the comments. Standards, not stress. Say it with your whole chest. Say it to show him. Say it to show the universe. Say it to show you who you really are. Now buckle up, because up next, we're stepping into the first type of man that'll leave your soul exhausted and your timeline confused. And trust me, once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Let's go. Number 1. The man with no motion. You meet him on a random Tuesday. He's funny. He's got charisma. He's saying all the right things. He looks good, smells good, and that little smirk? Dangerous. But as time goes on, you start to notice there's always a story. No job, but big dreams. No money, but big promises. No progress, but endless potential. You keep hearing one day, but never today. And something inside you starts to whisper, this man ain't moving. Let me tell you something with love and fire. Potential does not pay bills. Potential does not protect your heart. And potential without action is just procrastination in a pretty outfit. See, we've been conditioned to play the role of the ride or die, to build him while he figures it out, to carry the load while he's getting it together. But baby, if he's still in the same place 6 months later, you're not in a relationship, you're in a rescue mission, and you didn't come here to be a lifeguard, you came here to be loved. Napoleon Hill said, action is the real measure of intelligence. What does that mean? It means you can talk a big game, but if you're not moving, you're not growing. If a man says he wants a better life but won't apply for jobs, won't read a book, won't shift his circle, won't wake up early, then guess what? He doesn't want it. He likes the idea of change more than the work of it. And I know what you might be thinking, but he's trying. He's been through a lot. He just needs encouragement. And listen, it's okay to be kind. It's okay to care. But you have to ask yourself, am I loving him or carrying him? Because one inspires growth, the other drains your spirit. One turns you into a partner, the other turns you into a crutch. Let me give you an example. A woman I know dated a man who had every excuse in the world. No license, no steady job. Living with his mother. Drama with his ex. She told him straight up, I like you, but I need a man who's moving. Get your license, get your money right, get your house in order. She walked away. He came back 8 months later. License in hand, job secured, drama handled. That's the power of standards, that's the power of pause. But here's the twist, she had moved on. Why? Because when you grow, you stop going back to people who only made sense when you were shrinking. See, the truth is, when a man wants to rise, he will. When he doesn't, he won't. And no amount of cooking, sex, prayer, or pep talks can raise a man who doesn't want to stand. You cannot build a man. You can only support a man who is already building. So say this out loud with me. I am not here to build a man. I attract builders. Say it loud. Say it proud. Because the woman who speaks life into herself no longer entertains men who just talk about changing. She walks with men who do. And trust me, you deserve more than a man who needs convincing. You deserve someone who sees your value and matches your effort without you having to become his personal development plan. Love should lift you, not weigh you down. Now take a breath, because up next, we're talking about another one you've definitely met. He's easygoing, too easygoing. He's the let's just vibe, why label it? Can't we just chill type? No map, no mission, just floating. And if you're not careful, he'll float you straight into nowhere. Stay close, let's break this down. Number 2, the man with no vision. You ask him gently but clearly, so what are we doing? And he smiles that casual smile, shrugs his shoulders and says, let's just see what happens. It sounds light, harmless, maybe even wise, but weeks turn into months, months into confusion. And while you're dreaming about a future, he's just floating through the present. You're investing your heart, your energy, your time into a man who doesn't even know if he wants to build or just linger. Let's be real. Go with the flow is not always peace. Sometimes it's avoidance with a pretty name. Because a man who has no vision for you will never lead you to anything real. And you're not here to be someone's emotional layover. You are not the pregame. You are not the maybe. You are the main event. And you need a man who knows how to claim it. Napoleon Hill said it straight. A definite plan, backed by action, makes dreams come true. That means love, like success, requires intention. Not vibes, not guesswork. A man who's serious about you won't be afraid to say it, and if he is, he's not unsure, he's unavailable. Let that sink in. You deserve a man who chooses you with clarity, not someone who stumbles into your life and hopes you don't ask too many questions. You are not too much for asking, where is this going? In fact, that question is sacred because a woman who values herself is not afraid of the answer. She knows that rejection is redirection and clarity is protection. And don't fall for the myth that bringing it up will scare him away. If your truth scares him, he was never ready to stay. You see, a man who's ready for real love doesn't run from direction. He welcomes it.
So say it with me. My love has direction. I don't flow, I lead. You don't just vibe, you move with purpose. Because queens don't drift, they decide.
Now stay close, because up next we're talking about a different kind of trap. The kind that feels sweet at first, but ends with you dating someone and his mother. Let's talk about the man who never really left home.
Number 3, the man who can't stand alone.
You're in a relationship, but you're never really alone because every time you make a decision together, there's a third party pulling the strings. His mother. He asks her opinion before yours. She knows your business before you've even processed it. Her voice echoes in your relationship louder than your own, and slowly, you start to feel like the sidekick in a love story that was never meant to be about 3 people. At first, it seems sweet. He's just close to his mom, right? But then it hits you. You're not in a relationship with a grown man. You're in a relationship with someone who never really learned how to stand without leaning. And the problem isn't that he loves his mother. The problem is that he's never learned how to love you without making her the referee. Napoleon Hill said, "No one can rise above their environment unless they decide to." That means at some point, a man must choose to step into leadership over his own life. He can love his mother without being controlled by her. He can honor her without handing her the steering wheel of your relationship. But if he refuses to make that shift, you'll always be fighting for space that should have been yours from the start. You weren't made to compete for attention with the woman who raised him. You're not meant to beg for independence in a relationship that's supposed to be built on unity. And no, it's not your job to teach him how to separate. That's a decision he has to make, because a real man knows how to build a life with you, not one where you're constantly waiting to be chosen over her. Let's be clear, you're not asking for too much when you want to feel like a priority. You're asking for alignment. And if a man can't protect the boundary between his mother and his romantic relationship, he's not ready for the weight of love. Say this with clarity in your voice. I attract men who stand tall, not hide behind their mothers. Because when a woman stands in her worth, she doesn't chase. She chooses. And she chooses peace over permission. Now don't go too far, because next we're exposing the man who wears the robe of spirituality but walks in the shoes of manipulation. It's time to talk about the man who pretends to lead you with God, but really just wants control. Number 4, the man with a mask. He prays before dinner, sends you Bible verses in the morning, posts quotes about love, light, and loyalty on Instagram. He might even lead worship, volunteer at church, or quote scriptures with ease. To everyone watching, he's a man of God. But when the cameras are off and the audience is gone, you see something else: coldness, control, cruelty. His prayers feel rehearsed, his apologies feel hollow. And now you're stuck wondering, was any of it real? That's the danger of falling for the performance instead of the presence. Because some men know how to look holy, but don't live it. And by the time you realize the mask he wears, your heart is already caught in the illusion. He didn't lead you closer to God, he used God to get closer to you. Napoleon Hill once said, character is who you are in the dark. In other words, it's not who he is when he's in church, in front of friends, or quoting scripture. It's who he is when no one's watching. How does he treat you when you disagree? How does he act when he's angry? Does his love reflect the peace he preaches? Or does it feel more like fear wrapped in faith? True spirituality humbles a man. It makes him softer, wiser, more accountable. It doesn't make him arrogant, judgmental, or emotionally abusive. Real love, the kind rooted in faith, isn't loud. It's consistent. It doesn't need an audience to be authentic. And listen, I know it's hard. When someone speaks the same language as your spirit, you want to believe they're safe. But your soul knows what's real, even when your eyes want to be fooled. So trust your energy. Trust your discernment. Don't get lost in the sermon and miss the signs. Say this with confidence and peace. I follow energy, not titles. My spirit knows what's real. Because a woman in alignment doesn't fall for potential in a pulpit. She moves with power and protection. Now stay with me, because next we're stepping into even trickier territory. It's the man who says he's separated but still lives in the middle of a mess. He promises he's done, but is he really free? Let's talk about the man who's still tied to someone else while reaching for you. Number 5, the man who isn't free. He looks you in the eye and says, it's over. We're just not divorced yet. And for a moment, you want to believe him. He says he sleeps on the couch, says they haven't been intimate in months, says it's complicated, but almost done. And you tell yourself, maybe I'm the new chapter he's been waiting for. But as days turn to weeks and weeks to months, the truth starts to sink in. The past isn't behind him. It's still living in his house, still on his paperwork, still calling his phone. And now you're stuck in a story that isn't even finished. Let me say this with love and clarity. If a man is not fully out of a relationship, emotionally, legally, and energetically, he is not ready to receive you. He may mean well, he may even care about you, but care is not the same as capacity. And no matter how deeply you feel for him, you cannot build a future with someone who's still tangled in their past. Napoleon Hill said, you cannot move forward while holding on to the past. That means healing, freedom, and commitment all require closure. not talk, not intention, action. Divorce isn't just paperwork, it's a spiritual reset. Without it, he's not starting fresh. He's dragging old wounds into a new chapter, and you become the emotional middleman between what was and what might be. And I know what you're thinking. But he says I'm the one. He says it's me he wants. Maybe he does, but real love doesn't need you to wait in limbo. Real love closes doors before opening new ones. And if he's truly serious about you, he'll handle his business before inviting you into his heart. You are not a backup plan. You are not a placeholder. You are not someone's comfort while they figure things out. You are the woman a healed man chooses without hesitation. Say it with authority and pride. I attract what is whole, not what is halfway. Because when you stand in your wholeness, you don't settle for someone split between yesterday and tomorrow. And now take a breath, because next we're entering the territory of emotional ghosts. The kind of man who never truly lets you in, but keeps you close enough to keep hoping. Let's talk about the one who won't open his heart, no matter how much love you give. Number 6. The man with the closed heart. You open your heart, you share your dreams, you tell him how you feel, hoping he'll finally meet you there. But he just shrugs, changes the subject, gets quiet. You ask him what's wrong, and he says, nothing. You try again, this time softer, maybe even stronger, and still nothing. He's not cruel, he's not loud, he's just absent in all the places that matter. And still, some part of you whispers, maybe if I love him harder, he'll open up. But hear me now, you cannot pour sunlight into a man who refuses to lift his own blinds. You cannot love the pain out of someone, and you should never have to guess if you're enough while waiting for someone to feel anything. Napoleon Hill once said, and we'll put it plain, no amount of wishing can change a man who won't change himself. And that's it. If he wanted to heal, he'd heal. If he wanted to connect, he'd try. If he wanted to meet you at the emotional table, he'd sit down. But a closed heart can't receive your love, and you can't make someone ready by sacrificing your own peace. See, emotional unavailability is tricky. It doesn't always look like silence. Sometimes it looks like hot and cold, sweet one day and gone the next, long talks that lead nowhere. It's the illusion of connection without the commitment to grow it. And while you wait for depth, you drown in the shallow. You might be tempted to hold on, but he's been hurt, but he's trying. But I see his potential, I get it. But hear this, he doesn't need your romance, he needs his healing. And that's not your role to fill. You are not his therapist. You are not his emotional rehab. You are a woman worthy of reciprocity. So say this with your chest, I am available for deep connection, not for emotional guesswork. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't make you beg, decode, or perform. And now, get ready. Because up next is one of the most dangerous dynamics in modern dating. The man who plays all the boyfriend games but refuses to give you the title. It's the situationship trap. And it's time we name it for what it is. Stay close. Number 7. He acts like a boyfriend but doesn't want a relationship. He texts you good morning. He checks on you during the day. He holds your hand in public, kisses you on the forehead, takes you out, stays the night. And everything feels like love. But then one day, you ask the question, what are we? And suddenly everything shifts. He looks away, scratches his neck and says, I'm just not ready for anything serious. Wait, what? How are you doing everything couples do, but you're still not ready? Sis, that's not confusion. That's clarity in disguise. Because a man who behaves like your boyfriend but denies you the title is not confused. He's comfortable. Comfortable having your love without responsibility. Comfortable soaking up your loyalty while keeping his options open, comfortable being everything but committed, Let me bring in some wisdom. Napoleon Hill said, "The man who wants something badly enough will find a way. The rest make excuses." And you know what? He's right. If a man wanted you, truly, deeply, intentionally, he wouldn't leave you guessing. He wouldn't hesitate. Because desire backed by purpose becomes pursuit, and anything less is just emotional loitering. You see, this kind of man loves the feeling of being loved, but fears the weight of being held accountable. He'll play house, but won't build a home. He'll enjoy your energy, your time, your body, but never call it what it is. And all while you're waiting, hoping, bending, showing up. He's already made his decision. He just hopes you don't.
And I know it's hard because it feels real, but real love doesn't hide behind almost. Real love claims you fully, not quietly. So if he can act like your man but still say, "We're nothing official," then it's time to believe him and release him.
Say this like you mean it. I don't do situationships. I do sacred commitments. Because the woman who knows her worth won't settle for access when she was made for devotion. Now stay with me, because everything we've covered so far leads to one final truth. The most powerful move you can ever make isn't walking away to prove a point. It's walking away to protect your peace. And that's where we're going next. Number 8, message for you. Your standards are your signal. You see the red flags, you feel the pit in your stomach, the hesitation in his words, the delay in his consistency, but you stay. You tell yourself, no one's perfect. You tell yourself to be patient, to be understanding, to wait it out, because that's what love does, right? It waits, it forgives, it holds on.
But let me say something to the part of you that's tired of waiting for someone to become the person they promised they'd be. Love should not cost you your peace. And if it does, it's not love. It's a lesson.
So many women silence their intuition in the name of being loyal. You see the patterns. You feel the shift. But instead of walking, you start working. Trying to fix him, change him, heal him. But sis, red flags are not stoplights. You don't pause at them and hope they turn green. You don't pray they'll mean something different next week. Red flags are warnings, divine reminders that say, this road is not safe. Napoleon Hill said it like this: stand firm. You cannot build success on sand. That means love, real, lasting, soul-filling love, needs foundation. And foundation starts with standards. If your love life is built on excuses, confusion, or compromise, it will collapse every time. You don't need to shrink to be chosen. You don't need to hold on just to prove you're loyal. You don't need to carry a relationship that drags you down. Your peace is sacred. Your energy is valuable. And your presence is the reward, not the audition. So say this with all the strength in your soul: my peace is my power. I do not compromise it for potential. That's not just a statement, that's a shift. Because the moment you start honoring your peace, everything changes. The wrong ones leave, the right ones rise, and you stop being someone's second thought and start being someone's answered prayer. Now go live this, not just with your words, but with your walk. And the next time someone asks what you're looking for, don't say love. Say alignment. Say clarity. Say peace. Because love without peace isn't love, it's survival. And you weren't born to survive, you were born to soar.